I grew up playing football all my life. I always wanted to play for the Georgia Bulldogs for some reason, because of my dad probably. He grew up a big Georgia Bulldogs fan, so that made me want to play for him when I go to college.
I'm Jessica Pomeroy, and you're watching Dreams of Saturday. On this episode, we'll take a look at a Pac-12 recruit, Christian Morris, out of East High School in Memphis. We'll take a trip over to Monroe to visit with defensive back Lawrence Jones. We'll also talk to LSU recruit John Diarse, who after being a standout quarterback in high school is being asked to transition to receiver. And we'll look at a kid who will be staying at receiver, and for a good reason, Gerald Perry.
Nothing to talk about. Remember, it ain't what you're capable of doing, is what you're willing to do. Lay it on the line, man. Take you some today. That's your job. Take some today. Get to your group, find your coach, get to your group. Hard work on three, hard work on three. Hard work! Get that.
Week 3 here of Dreams of Saturday, where we will be following some of the best high school football players in America until National Signing Day. This week we open up with a big-time recruit, John Diarse from Neville High School in Monroe, Louisiana, who was already committed to play for the Mad Hatter at Louisiana State University. This is John Diarse, a 4-star athlete from Neville High School in Monroe, Louisiana. After being recruited by several of the nation's elite college programs, John has made a verbal commitment to play at LSU next fall, where he'll get a chance to play big-time college football, something John has wanted to do since he was young.
I did grow up dreaming about playing college football.
Even in the YMCA days, that's when I really noticed his interest in playing football. I mean, he did everything in his power. He would have imaginary football players out there with him, and that's how all of that got started.
John has come a long way since then, and now heading into his senior season at Neville, he is considered one of the top high school players in the state of Louisiana. Such high praise is nothing new to John, because he's been the best player on the field his entire life.
His first Pee Wee football game, it was tremendous. He just showed out. He did what he knew to do naturally. I was amazed, so was the other parents, you know. He was a giant, looked like, among the other kids because he was the tallest one. And a lot of parents thought he was too old, but he was just a big kid. And it was awesome, man. I mean, every time he'd catch the ball, he'd score.
Performances like that became routine for John, and it didn't take long for him to realize that he had a chance to play college football one day.
I realized it when I was about 13, 14, about 7th grade.
It was right around that time that his parents also realized that John was something special.
John was 12, 13 years old when I realized he had the athletic ability. Yeah, there was one particular game in junior high when Lee Junior High actually played my alma mater, which is Rayville Junior High. He had a really big game. That day, he basically just ran all over the place. It was so big, and they scored so much until he actually asked the coach to take him out and just let some others play. I really realized when he had that athletic ability, he had a heart to win, but also a heart to share.
Of course, John didn't get that good by accident. Sure, he was blessed with plenty of talent, but even at a young age, John was working hard so that he could be the best, and he always had his dad with him to help.
John's early days, I always taught him, if you want to be a great football player, you first got to learn how to catch the ball. We used to get out in the front yard, the backyard, and I would just toss him the ball, you know, and just watch him catch it, watch him drop it, watch him get frustrated. And then I would get frustrated too, you know. He told me he wanted to be a quarterback one day, and I said, okay, that's why you're learning how to catch the ball. If you're going to be a quarterback, well, you got to first learn the ball. You got to learn how to catch the ball. Once he learned to catch, he learned to throw. He took that and he ran with it.
And run with it he did. By the time John got to 9th grade, he was ready to blossom into a high school football star.
We got to watch John in our feeder program at Lee Junior High as a 7th and 8th grader. We knew right away he was a special talent athletically. Started for us at wide receiver as a freshman and was a playmaker.
A playmaker indeed. As a freshman, John compiled over 500 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns as he helped Neville win a state championship. His finest moment came in the state title game when John made a record-setting catch that he still regards as the most memorable play of his career.
That championship game, I caught a 95-yard touchdown pass, and I didn't know it until after I scored and got to the sideline. And everybody was like, "Oh, you broke a record, you broke a record." That moment in time, I didn't know where I was. You know, I was just a small little guy. Everybody thought they could push around. And I remember Coach Savine telling me, "Hey, we finna go deep. We need you." So, I mean, I take off, and Coach told me to look up, and the ball's coming. I said, either I'm going to catch it and score, or I'm going to drop it. You know, everybody's going to be upset. So, I mean, once I caught it, I was like, hey, I can't, don't let anybody catch you. So, I mean, eyes was focused on the end zone. I took off.
That catch and that season were just the beginning of what has turned into a storied high school career for John Diarse. We'll follow John over the upcoming months as his senior season comes to completion. Dreams of Saturday is going to take a short break, but when we return, we'll catch up with safety Lawrence Jones. We'll be right back. Sometimes the recruiting process begins early, with prospects being recruited heavily out of their sophomore year. Such is the case with Lawrence Jones, who plays defensive back for the Tigers of Neville High School.
My name is Lawrence Jones. I'm 6'2", 210 pounds. I play for Neville High School, defensive back.
Meet Lawrence Hootie Jones, a rising junior at Neville High School in Monroe, Louisiana. Since he's just a junior, Lawrence doesn't have a formal ranking from most recruiting websites yet. But when he gets one, look for his name to be towards the top among cornerback recruits in the class of 2014. Lawrence is a physical specimen that already looks the part of a college football player and isn't afraid to play like it.
I can really just be really aggressive. I can use my hands a lot. You know, I just like to try to push them around and get them off their game so they'll focus on me pushing. I just try to be more physical than them.
Again, a player that came through our feeder program at Lee Junior High, another very talented player from a young age. He looked the part as a 7th grader that he could develop into a big-time football player. He has the capability of doing great things on the field.
And in his sophomore season, Lawrence did just that. During Neville's playoff run, Lawrence started to emerge as a shutdown cornerback when he held current LSU freshman wide receiver Traven Durrell, who no one had been able to slow down all season, to just 30 yards receiving. Then in the state title game, after getting beat for a touchdown early in the game, Lawrence redeemed himself later on with a key interception.
He put him on an island without help over the top as a corner. And yeah, he gave up a play in the state championship game, but came back, as you mentioned, and made a great play. One of the best interceptions I've made on a fade route in quite a while. And in that atmosphere, in that type game, made it that much bigger.
Caught an interception out of nowhere. It kind of surprised me a little bit because I ain't really know the ball was coming until I looked up.
In that same game, Lawrence also forced the fumble and blocked the field goal as he helped Neville win their 2nd state championship in 3 years. That game has officially become Hootie's coming out party, and afterwards he quickly went from being barely a blip on the radar to being one of the top junior prospects in the state of Louisiana. Luckily for Lawrence, he has a teammate at Neville who not too long ago was in the same position that Lawrence is in now, and he's offered up some advice on how to handle everything.
Me and my teammate Lawrence Jones, we both made big plays as young players. And one thing I learned when I was little, you know, I mean, if you work hard enough, you're going to be good. I mean, it's no doubt. Hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. So, you know, I try to install that into Hootie. You know, I mean, a lot of guys are blessed with God-given talent, and that's one guy. He's blessed. I mean, a lot of guys would love to have his size, but you know, every day I try to put into his head, hey, don't get cocky, because I mean, as soon as you get cocky, it's all coming down. You can be on top for one day, and the next day you drop to the bottom. So I try to instill it into him.
John has also tried to prep Lawrence for when his high school recruitment takes off.
John told me that the recruiting process, you're gonna start liking it. He don't want me to get the big head about seeing other schools, thinking I'm all that and stuff. So he told me to keep my cool and I'm really starting to look up to him a little bit.
Well, I know one thing. Lawrence couldn't ask for a better role model and teammate than John Diarse. As a junior, Lawrence's recruitment is still in its early stages, but Dreams of Saturday will keep close tabs on him over the next 2 years to see how everything unfolds. And with several college football powerhouses already starting to recruit him, it should be interesting. Okay, enough with the skill players. Everyone knows that football games are won in the trenches, and UCLA is about to add a 6'6", 293-pound freshman to their O-line, Christian Morris.
My name is Christian Morris. I'm a left tackle for Memphis East High School. I'm 6'6", 292.
Christian Morris is a 4-star offensive lineman from Memphis East High School. At 6 foot 6 inches tall and nearly 300 pounds, Christian has a big body, and so it makes sense that he also has big dreams.
I've been dreaming on playing on Saturday since my 9th grade year. I've watched on TV that, the way I seen all these big celebrities, big stars making history to the football game, and they also make a lot of money. As a high school player, I think a lot about playing in the NFL. I see myself being an NFL player in 5 years.
Once he got to high school, it didn't take Christian long to realize that those dreams were within reach.
I realized my 10th grade year that I was ready to play college football. The first school to contact me was Memphis, and they contacted me my 10th grade year at the end of my season.
Memphis, Christian's hometown school, may have been the first college to express interest in him, but they certainly weren't the last. In fact, before he knew it, Christian had a handful of offers as well as an early favorite.
My reaction was ecstatic when school started recruiting me. I was very happy that I was getting letters. I can see myself on the rise of becoming a top athlete. I had a early favorite, and that was Tennessee.
Things picked up even more for Christian during his junior season, when his play along the offensive line was a catalyst for an offense that averaged nearly 30 points per game. After the season, Christian was rewarded with invitations to visit a pair of SEC West schools.
The school that I attended a junior day event was Mississippi State and Alabama. When I visit the school, I'm looking forward to seeing how the coach's personality is. It is very important that I know the coach's personality, and he has a good personality, because, that would kind of fall back on, our relationship.
When Christian attended those junior day events at Mississippi State and Alabama, he had a chance to get to know both head coaches a little better.
Dan Mullen is a guy that runs a program well to me. He has a great relationship with his players. Nick Saban is a guy that also runs a program well. The person that's more intense to me is Nick Saban, because Nick Saban is all about business.
I'm not surprised to hear about Nick Saban. When we talk to Christian later this year on Dreams of Saturday, he'll tell us what other coaches made an impression on him. We'll hear all about what he's looking for in a school, and eventually what school he'll be attending. Well, it's time for another word from our sponsors. But when we return, we'll take a look at Memphis standout and Vanderbilt recruit Gerald Perry. Blazing speed. That's another thing that wins football games. And no one in Tennessee prep football is faster than Gerald Perry. Clocking in with a 4.41 40 time, Gerald Perry is quickly, and I mean quickly, becoming a huge blip on the radar.
My name is Gerald Perry. I'm 5'10", 160 pounds. I play wide receiver and free safety. I go to Whitehaven High School, Memphis, Tennessee. I'm going to college at Vanderbilt University.
Gerald Perry is a senior at Whitehaven High School in Memphis, Tennessee. He's an under-the-radar 3-star recruit who has been thinking about playing football for as long as he can remember.
I've been dreaming about playing on Saturdays ever since I was 5 years old. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to go to Tennessee State University.
5 years old may seem a little young to be dreaming about playing college football, but not when you're the son of a former college and NFL player like Gerald is. His father, also named Gerald, played in college at Tennessee State and then in the NFL with the San Diego Chargers.
When I was younger, we used to travel out of town a lot and go to different places where my dad played college football with, and they'd be telling me every time that on Saturdays your dad was this, your dad was that. So they just inspired me to be more than my dad. My father played NFL and he didn't last long, so I'm just trying to do something better than my father did. I see myself in the NFL. I think about playing NFL a lot. I think about that all the time.
Gerald clearly dreams about being an even better football player than his father one day, something that he realized was a possibility before he even got to high school.
First time I realized I had a chance to play college football was my 8th grade year when Coach Salisbury came over to my middle school and was talking to me. He said that I had a big future. I had a bright future ahead of me.
When Coach Salisbury said that it certainly wasn't Gerald's size at 5 feet 10 inches and 160 pounds that he was impressed with, it was something else.
The word is speed, and that's what I always tell people anytime they ask me. He is explosive fast. So I don't really think there's anybody that can run with him. He is not alone has long speed, he has a quick burst. Through this recruitment process, that's the thing that shows up on film, and they see that he has dynamic, game-changing speed.
With speed like his, Gerald is already drawing comparisons to a former Ole Miss standout that is now playing wide receiver in the NFL, a place Gerald would like to be someday.
I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan by no stretch of the imagination, so the comparison to Mike Wallace is there. You know, he can blow the top off of coverage. He is that fast.
Wow, that's some pretty high praise right there. We'll catch up with Gerald later this year on Dreams of Saturday and hear all about the ways that he's contributed to his high school team over the last few seasons. We'll also hear all about his college recruitment and why he ultimately chose Vanderbilt. Well, we have to take one more break, but we still have plenty of show left. When we get back, we'll be answering some viewer questions from Twitter. Dreams of Saturday will be right back. Welcome back to Dreams of Saturday. We've reached the part of the show when we will answer Twitter questions from you, the viewer. This week we have a question from @ChrisL225, who asks, "It's great seeing Memphis kids on the show, but there seems to be a shortage of Memphis kids in the SEC and other big conferences. Why is that?" To answer your question, we decided to ask a guy that has both played and coached high school football in the city of Memphis. And that's the current head football coach of Whitehaven High School, Rodney Salisbury.
Memphis it's kind of had an up and down history with football and recruiting. We've always had talent in the city, but we had a little turmoil that went on for a while with people doing illegal things. We had a little controversy or whatnot where kids were, coaches asking for money and things of that nature, or things that were being done illegally in recruiting that hurt our city because not that every school was doing it, but it happened. And the school in Memphis got a bad mark. We're hoping we can be the bright and shining star of the city of Memphis as far as helping kids get to college and kind of changing that whole dynamic of the struggle of the city and show that the city does have promise so we can get the recognition that we deserve with the talented football players that are in this city.
Things are getting better for Memphis. In the past 2 seasons, the city of Memphis has produced 6 four-star recruits after producing